Hi, Kim.
Okay, Councillor Marriott, we're now on record, so welcome and over to you.
Would you like me to? Apologies, Kim. Shall I start the apologies, Chair? Shall I start the live streaming now, Chair? Are you ready? Yeah. Okay, apologies.
Okay, well, croeso pawb, prynhawn yma. Welcome to everybody this afternoon, and a special welcome today to Trevor Dobson. Thank you very much for being willing to join this committee. We hope you find it interesting. And I do remember from when I started on the committee, it was basically, well, who is who and what do they do? So I'm going to start off with introductions, if everybody's okay with that. And then I'll kind of go around the screen as I've got them written down here. And then because you'll bob around and I'll get everybody their own side. So I'm Councillor Marriott Eastwood. I'm Chair for SACRE this year. And I am currently the Cabinet Member for Education, Welsh Language, Culture and Leisure. So that's why I am here. Kim?
Yes, Prynhawn da, Trevor. Trevor and I have just done a brief introduction, and we have paths have crossed previously when Trevor was one of our governors. But I'm Kim Brooks. I'm Senior Manager, Business Support and School Governance, and today I also provide clerking support to the statutory committees of the council. So good to see you, Trevor.
Thank you.
Kim. And could I ask you next?
Who was next? Married.
Sorry, just having to find me on mute button.
Oh, sorry.
Trying to put me
I don't do enough of these meetings. I'm Anne Smith. I represent the English-speaking part of the Presbyterian Church of Wales. I'm an elder at our church here in Mancott.
Hello.
Hello. Councillor Paul Cunningham, please.
Founder, my name is Paul Cunningham. I'm a member for Flint. I've been the governor and chair of St Mary's Catholic School in Flint. I'm also a former pupil of Catherine's School, St Richard Gwyn, and I've been a member of the governors of Flint Gwynedd. As for that, I'm a Flintshire County Councillor, and that's it.
Thank you.
Quite a list, Paul. Who have I got next? Jane, please. Jane Borthwick.
Prynhawn da, my name is Jane Borthwick and I'm the Learning Advisor for primary schools in Flintshire.
Welcome to you too. Adele?
Yes, hello and welcome. My name is Adele Davis Cook and I'm the County Councillor for Gwynaffield and Gwynymyneth.
Thank you.
Adele. Amira.
Hi, I'm Amira and I'm a primary school teacher in Westwood in Buckley, and I've done some work with the St Asaph Diocese as well last year.
Thank you.
This is a great refresher for me as well.
Yeah.
Lynn Messer, please.
Hi, I'm Lynn Oakes. I'm the teacher representative from secondary schools. So I am head of department in the Allen School in Mould.
Right, thank you.
Okay, Andrew.
Andrew Parkhurst, Councillor for Kilcan Ward and a member of the Education, Youth and Culture Scrutiny Committee.
Thank you.
Then I've got you, Trevor. Trevor, do you want to give it? Oh no, I'll go through everybody else and then you can explain a little bit more about yourself, okay? Catherine McCormack.
Hi, I'm Catherine McCormack, head teacher at St Richard Gwyn, representing the secondary head teachers.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, David Mackey, please.
Thank you, Chair. Dave Mackey, very late attendee. Sorry, I've been very busy this afternoon, but I'm a councillor. I'm also on the Education Scrutiny Committee, and I take a great interest in education. Thank you.
You do indeed, David. All very constructive criticism and comment.
Thank you.
And Trevor, would you like to, we did have your pen picture for the last meeting, but would you like to kind of introduce yourself again today, please?
Pranam Dar, everybody. Thank you, Chair. My name's Trevor Dobson. I no longer live in Flintshire, but I did live there in Flint Mountain for 30 years. And both my children, well, went to Flint Mountain Primary and Flint High School. And I was a member of the governing body, and for a couple of years towards the end, I was chair of the governing body of Flint High School. I've since moved away from Flintshire, but obviously still retain an interest in it. And thank you very much for the welcome you've given me. I am here as a representative of humanism. I'm a member of Humanists UK, and I also volunteer for them. And if the committee would find it helpful at some point at a future meeting, I'm happy to explain a bit more about what humanists believe in, because we found from experience elsewhere that people who aren't humanists tend to have very different ideas of what being a humanist means. So I'm happy to do that at some future meeting should you require it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's now Trevor. Okay. Moving on then to the next agenda item. So I'm on my laptop and it's not as intuitive as the iPad, is it? Apologies. Do you have any apologies?
Thank you, Chair. We've had apologies from Claire Homard, who's now starts her leave.
Chair, if I may, I think we've also had apologies came from Danielle McDonough.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay. I was just going through my list. Councillor Dave was going to be late, but Councillor Dave was already here. Chair, Councillor Paul has got his hand up.
Chair, you seem very quiet, and I've got my my sound up as loud as I can bear. Is there something amiss with your side?
Is that better?
Slightly.
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 Well, you're very loud, me. Shall I just try shouting? All right.
As a former chair, you should be used to shouting at us, Chair.
Never. Okay, I will try and enunciate a bit more clearly.
That's better.
Okay, I shall try and do that. Okay, then moving on to the minutes. Shall I go through them page by page? If my laptop will let me do that. So we've got page 3 of the pack, 4 and 5. Can we take those as read? Are they approved? If we can indicate.
I will move them.
Thank you. Thank you, Adele, for seconding that. All hands in favour? Are there any actions arising out of the minutes that we need to be aware of?
I think, Chair, if I may, there was one around sharing the terms of reference. So I have actually shared the terms of reference already now with Trevor. So I hope that's okay. And then just to pick up on the annual report, which obviously was approved at the last meeting. It is on its way to members. If you just bear with me a little bit longer, it's in translation and publication stage. So I will send you the final copy of that bilingually when that's completed, and certainly before the end of this term.
Yeah, okay. So then if there's nothing further on that one, we shall move to agenda item 4, the analysis of inspection reports. And I am looking forward to this one, Vicky, because of that lovely publicity we had on dside.com, wasn't it? But I was very proud of the work that you're doing. But if you can give us your analysis. Please, Vicky.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, it was lovely to see that article picked up from the papers, and I think, nicely reflected the main themes in this report. The report, as members can see, references 5 primary schools from their most recent inspections, and remembering that we are now on the new inspection cycle from September 2024. So we've had that transition in terms of how we report on the analysis of inspections. But actually, I think hopefully members will find that it is still quite straightforward to see how the comments fit into the reports. I am very pleased to present this report. There are some very positive comments indeed from the schools inspected during this cycle. And I would have to say, I think that continues very much with the nature and quality of commentary that we've had in our reports recently. When I talk later about the latest meeting of the SACRE meeting in March, we had a presentation from Estin, and there has been discussion about how we as SACREs and SAC, as we now are able to pull out those positive comments around RVE and collective worship. Bear in mind, we've moved very far away from the subject-specific comments we used to get within inspection reports. But I have to say, I think there are lots of comments there that we've been able to pull out, and I think that is a two-way process, isn't it? I think Estin are looking for examples that they can use and include, but I think also our schools are being very positive and proactive because of the good work that they are doing around RVE and their provision for collective worship, in being able to demonstrate and give examples when Estin are looking for that flavour of a school when they're looking at the curriculum. So lots of positive comments there. No recommendations in school recommendations around RVE or collective worship. As always, there are a couple of pointers for schools in terms of how they might improve their practice further. But, if you look particularly at 1.3, there is a specific reference there for Ysgol Rhoselig around religion and values. In 2.4, there is reference around values through assemblies, empathy and being kind. Sometimes it's just those very simple statements, isn't it, that reflects actually what the culture and ethos of a school is about, and the values that we want our young people to have very much through the new curriculum for Wales. I keep calling it the new curriculum for Wales. I probably can't anymore because it's been around a bit, but actually it's the new emphasis, isn't it, in terms of what we want our learners to aspire to and what the qualities and the values and the skills that we want them to have when they leave school. And then, for example, in 4.3, talking about authentic learning experiences, we've had conversations here as a committee about how RVE, particularly lends itself to real authentic learning about individuals and their communities, their locality and the wider world as well. And I know, Amira, some of the presentation work that you've done has been around authentic learning experiences as well. So I think also, as Councillor Marrett said at the start, that was picked up in the local article, commending our schools for nurturing environments and for pupil engagement. We know that RVE is a fabulous opportunity to engage learners. Those big questions, those fundamental questions that we've always had in RVE, and very much now through the new curriculum. So I was really pleased to see that. And also, I think, Chair, the fact that the article represented the work of SACRE and SAC, and I think that's important as well, because that's, it shows actually the important work that you do as a committee and the value of having this committee to support and monitor the work of RVE and collective worship in our schools. So if you're happy, Chair, I'd like to commend that report to members and of course answer any questions.
I'm very happy for you to do that, Vicky. Are there any questions for Vicky?
Could I ask one, Chair, if that's okay? Are members happy with the format of it? Remember, inspection reports are much shorter now, so I think it's probably the easiest way to do it. Councillor Mackie?
Thank you. Yes, if I may say, I am very pleased with the format, and I would like to pass on my thanks, and I'm sure that thanks of the committee, for the work that you've done in bringing this information together and presenting it to us. Thank you very much, Vicky.
Diolch.
No, I can just add my thanks then to Councillor Mackey's then, and thank you very much, Vicky. So I think sometimes if you get no questions, it means the report is very well written and speaks for itself, doesn't it? On that basis, then we shall move on to item 5, the feedback from SACRE meeting on the 5th of March. Vicky, is that you again? Yes.
It is, Chair, thank you. But of course, I think you yourself were present at that meeting, and also Councillor Mackey, so feel free to chip in. Appreciate March was a while ago now. Sometimes we're quite close to the SACRE meetings, and then sometimes there's a little bit of delay, and obviously last term was a very long term, and school colleagues will know this has been an interesting summer term with only 4 weeks before half term, so 6th of March feels a long time ago. But just to give members a flavour, and then obviously you'll get the minutes circulated from SACRE once we get nearer to the paperwork for the summer meeting, which I will come back to. So it was Bridgend Council that hosted the SACRE meeting online, and we had a very warm welcome from the Corporate Director for Education and Family Support, Lindsay Harvey, and we also then had quite a moving reflection on the history of SACRE. Councillor Marriott and Councillor Mackey will recall that, the 30 years celebration since the start of SACRE, from Rhyneth Thomas, who was one of the founding members. And it was really nice to hear that history of how the organisation had developed in Wales. Some lovely reference to colleagues, some colleagues still with us, some colleagues who are sadly not any longer, but it was just nice to see that journey. I haven't been with SACRE for 30 years, but certainly over 20 years, and it was nice to have that as a starting point for the meeting. We then had some feedback around the film that SACRE produced about RVE, a really good discussion around that. Obviously, we know that Flintshire, looking at the lovely fields, there's some very good footage of Flintshire within that video as well. SACRE members have seen this previously, we've talked about it previously, and just to remind you all that that film is available, and it's now also on the SACRE website as well, if you haven't seen it or if you'd like to see it again, because I think it's really uplifting. And Trevor, I'll certainly make sure I send you the link so that you can have a look at that as well, because I think it really gives a starting conversation to what RVE is about in Wales. So that was good. We had an update on the professional learning for RVE. So the governor's playlist, for example, is now on Hub. Just sort of finishing off that piece of work that SACRE had done with Welsh Government over a period of time since the introduction of the curriculum. We had a reminder about the SACRE supported research called the Teacher Voice Project. And again, I've shared that with members and shared that with schools, looking at the voice of teachers in Wales around RVE and the new curriculum. So that is still open for teachers to complete the survey until the end of this term. We have sent it out to all schools. I know Jane has publicised it, particularly with our RVE forum for primary leads. I know Lynn has shared it with our secondary heads, and I've also taken it to our Primary Head Teachers Federation and our Secondary Head Teachers Federation, because it's really important, I think, that we get a really good Flintshire voice within that national survey. So if I could just make a plea at this point then for any school representatives or any governors on the call today, just to perhaps keep flagging that survey, sort of last opportunities now for practitioners of RVE across our schools to participate in that really robust piece of research. And I know that some of the feedback we've had is that there are already research bodies and publications interested in this piece of research moving forward. And of course, we will get feedback as a committee once that research has been collated and analysed, and obviously a report will be produced. So really looking forward to that. There was an update on forthcoming RS GCSE, which was published in December, and obviously that is rolling out in terms of support. And I know we've had discussions about that before, and we've had points raised, haven't we, Lynn, around support for that. So that might be something we might want to come back to, perhaps in questions about how we can support and make sure our secondary heads of RVE are getting support around that new curriculum specification. We had an update on Estin. We always get really good input from Estin at our SACRE meetings. And then we had our regular updates from associated groups. And then a new code of conduct for SACRE, which has been developed. So those are the main sort of headlines. The next meeting now has been set for Wednesday, the 2nd of July. I think members have all had notification of that because I was asking for representation. I appreciate it clashes, I think, with one of our county council meetings. I think, Catherine, you've said that you are able to attend. So along with myself, that would mean there are 2 spaces still available for Flintshire. So if anybody else would like to join, if you haven't joined a SACRE meeting before, it's really interesting. A really full and packed agenda with lots of sort of the work that SACRE is involved in. So if you could let me know, please, by the 25th of June at the latest, then I can make sure that you get the papers. That will also be the AGM. It's being held remotely, and Anglesey, Ynys Môn County Council are hosting that meeting. And you will also have had notification that obviously at the AGM we have nominations for the SACRE executive. So SACRE members will know that I've been on the SACRE executive for the last 2 years. I thought it was time I might step down and give somebody else an opportunity, but one of our neighbouring SACREs nominated me, which I was delighted to take the nomination. But you'll see from the papers, there were 3 nominations for 3 positions. So the SACRE constitution is that those nominations would then be put forward at the AGM for election. So I will be happy to accept that nomination in the July, because I've really enjoyed working with the SACRE executive, and you really feel that you're able to have some of those national discussions that we need to keep RVE and collective worship very much on the agenda, and make sure that the work that we've all done in terms of the new curriculum, the work that you as a committee have done in terms of our agreed syllabus for schools is moving forward. So I think, Chair, that was everything I had from the meeting. I don't know if yourself and Councillor Mackie want to add anything, or perhaps if Lynn wants to give an update just in terms of the RS GCSE, how that's looking in terms of resources for schools. I think that's probably the one item that is perhaps a little bit still outstanding for us. Diolch.
Thank you very much, Vicky. Another comprehensive report and feedback. In relation to, before I come to you, Lynn, yes, it's the next SACRE meeting clashes with a Flintshire meeting, a big meeting. But I would recommend if any other members of this committee could make themselves available to join that. It's very informative, and it does give a wider view of the work that we're all trying to do in this area. So I do commend you all, if you can make yourselves available, please. Lynn, could I bring you in on about the GCSEs?
Absolutely, thank you. I mean, all heads of department in secondary schools are really working on fine-tuning the timings of everything and when best to start Unit 2, which is the new NEA component, non-examined assessments. I think the key thing is that we're meeting next Tuesday in Harden, and we've been lucky enough to be able to do a whole day meeting for the second time since we've been doing this. So we're going to do our standard meeting in the morning, and then we've got a window of good bit of time in the afternoon to focus on supporting each other for the development of the GCSE, looking at the timing, looking at how to deliver something that most of us haven't done. There's a few of us who used to do coursework, but there's a brand new cohort that have come through, which is wonderful, and it's just about trying to support each other on going forward. But this constant discussion between us in our conversation groups and asking for advice and, you know, how people are doing, or, you know, wanting to introduce something to the curriculum but needing a bit of fresh ideas and things. So we're always doing that. So I'll have more after our next meeting next week, but it's looking really positive and ironing out the wrinkles together, shall I say. Before I go though, could you remind me what time the SACRE meeting is on the 2nd? Because I'm just trying to find the email while we're chatting.
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock.
I'll have a look. That's okay.
And that's fine. It's encouraging to see that collaborative approach, isn't it? Because you'll be able to share best practice and not reinvent the wheel, and effective use of your time, really, isn't it? That's great. Councillor Mackie.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. If I could comment on Vicky's report on SACRE, I would certainly have supported her nomination. I think she's doing a great job for SACRE and a great job for SACRE. So I would totally support that, and I'm very, very pleased to see that she's been it's not elected as such, renominated for the executive. The other point, it's possibly a bit frivolous, but in relation to the film, I recall that there were quite a few comments which were in some ways quite frivolous comments, and questions were being asked about that some of the shots weren't to everybody's liking and things like that. And it really is a super film, and it gets a good point across very, very well. And my view was that some of the questions that were being raised were really they really shouldn't have been brought up. And my final point is, and I could be wrong here, but I had that meeting in my diary for the 6th of March, and it's shown here as the 5th of March. Now, I've been desperately trying to get the papers up, but my iPad is refusing to go beyond the end of last month.
No, it is the 6th of March, Councillor Mackie. That's my mistake.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got 6th here in my notes, so I don't know why I've put the 5th on the agenda. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I mean, I just thought I'd mention that just for accuracy. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Mackie, for also mentioning about Vicky's nomination, because I was going to talk about that, but I forgot to do so. So thank you for accepting that nomination, Vicky, because it's work again, isn't it? But I appreciate your support on that one. And who have I got? That? Vicky, bring you in next.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to you and Councillor Mackie for your kind words. I just wanted to thank Lynn, particularly for her work in steering the secondary heads group around this, big change. Actually, I'm old enough, Lynn, to remember coursework delivery. It is a change now for newer practitioners, and a lot of work actually for our colleagues in schools. I love the phrase "ironing out the wrinkles," Lynn. I'm going to poach that one. And if I may, Chair, I'd like to just make the recommendation, perhaps based on what Lynn has told us about the group, perhaps to ask Catherine McCormack as our secondary heads representative, perhaps to feedback, if members are happy, feedback to secondary heads, our appreciation that they have enabled the secondary heads of RE to come together for a day to do this important work, because we know every minute out of school is valuable time, but actually it shows the support of our secondary heads for that piece of work. And I would hope that SACRE would agree with me in passing that message back to our secondary heads, Fed.
I would certainly support that. Thank you. Good suggestion, Vicky. We can all indicate by nodding heads. Yes, that's about Kim.
Yeah, sorry, Chair. Vicky, just for clarity, is the SACRE meeting, is that all online or is it in person?
It's all online, Kim.
Online.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've had lots of discussions as a SACRE executive about sorry, Chair, if I may, just whether to go back to face, because it was lovely to be able to go to different authorities and see. But actually what we've found is attendance is better online for all the reasons that we understand, and it, you know, it fits our agendas as well as local authorities in terms of climate change and reducing our footprint. So yes, they are all online, but every local authority who chairs it tries to give a flavour of their local authority. So if you remember when Claire Homard, our chief officer, represented when Flintshire held it not last summer, was it the summer before? She was able to give a really good flavour of Flintshire as a community, and you know, our history and our cultures, and you know, key points, including some of our castles and parks, and the images that you see on Flintshire colleagues around the screen today. So we try and keep it local within that sort of online meeting.
Thank you, Vicky. Are there any other questions to Vicky at this point? Sorry, I'm forgetting to enunciate it. Are there any other questions today for Vicky? No. Okay then. Move on. Correspondence. Is that you, Kim?
It is, and we haven't had any. Vicky, I think is the answer.
Sorry, Kim. Yeah, we've just had 2 through, if that's okay. Not formal letters to SACRE, but I think important things for you to know. So one is actually from the SACRE executive, which has just come out recently. Every year there is a European conference, and we call it FTRE, but it's the European Forum for Teachers of Religious Education, and it's held in different countries. So I think last year's was Rome, and we had a lovely presentation at the SACRE meeting from one of our teachers who represented Wales at that meeting. So this year, it's always held in August. This year it's in Budapest, and so the SACRE executive have agreed again to fund for one teacher of RVE to represent Wales at that conference. So I have circulated to all of our schools, and I know Lynn has circulated as well to our secondary heads of RE, the nomination process. So any teacher of RVE across Wales can express an interest to the SACRE executive to be funded to attend that conference in Budapest. And it's great because some of the presentations we had back from those who joined the Rome convention were really positive and actually form part of our conference. Do you remember our summer conference for RVE last year? So I've shared that with schools and wanted to bring that to your attention. And then we've also had more recently as well some information from Humanists UK. So Trevor will be aware of this. The 21st of June is World Humanist Day, and we've had some resources for teachers to be circulated to our schools as well.
Thank you, Vicky. Councillor Parkhurst.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, Vicky, I was just wondering if there's been any correspondence concerning the proposed Catholic reorganisation. I've certainly had lots of my residents, expressing comments about the proposals and the effect that these proposals might have on children's social, cultural education, if not moral and spiritual, which is kind of what we are talking about here. I notice that we don't have representatives from the Roman Catholic Diocese, and I don't think we have for some considerable time, and I'm just wondering whether this is a subject which ought to be perhaps a little higher up our agenda. So any matters which relate to SACRE and the reorganisation can be considered.
Chair, are you happy for me to respond?
Yes, Vicky.
Thanks, Councillor Parkhurst. We haven't had any correspondence to SAC, so for that agenda item, no. as I understand, the public consultation is now live for that, so I don't think it would be appropriate for me to comment any further on that matter. In terms of representation, we do have representation from the Catholic Diocese, so the director. We did have, if you remember, John Morgan was our representative as well, but John retired, so I think we are still waiting him for a second nomination, if I'm correct, but we can certainly follow that up after this meeting.
Yes, Vicky. Councillor Cunningham.
Chair, as a former member of St Mary's and St Richard Gwyn, these two schools have a great deal of tradition. I can remember going back many, many years as a child when my parents used to pay into the church school fund so we could have a decent primary school and a decent secondary school, which was fought for by our former parish priest, long gone, who actually was a former Flintshire County councillor who fought for Catholic secondary education in Flint. And we got it, and it's named after Richard Gwyn, who was a Welsh martyr. There were 40 English and Welsh martyrs. In fact, Richard Gwyn was one of them. Edward Morgan was another one. John Plessington was another one, and there was, I think, John Plessington escaped from Flint Castle from being meeting his demise there, but that's another story. But they fought hard and long for Catholic education in Flint. I think, in my mind, without being disrespectful to His Lordship Bishop Peter, I think he was a bit duplicitous in the way he went around it. I think it's terrible that we've got to ask children from 3 years old to travel from all over Flintshire to Flint for education. In my mind, it's eroding Roman Catholic education. I'm a firm believer of it. I'm not a practicing Catholic, but to be quite honest, once you're a Catholic, you're always a Catholic. And I say my prayers, I say my rosary every day. I go to Mass regularly, although I'm a worship leader in the Church of Wales, and that's another story. But I think the way it's gone about leaves a lot to be desired. And Flintshire, to be quite honest, Chair, I've taken a lot of flack for it. You know, it's not, it wasn't our choice. You know, it was the Diocese of Wrexham and Bishop Peter. You can understand them wanting the best for the Catholic schools, but I think having one ginormous wraparound school in Flint where pupils have got to travel. I know they can say pupils travel from Saltney to Venerable Edward Morgan, who was another one of the 40 English martyrs and Welsh martyrs, can go there and then on to St. Richard, or whichever name they want to call this new high school, come wrap around primary school in Flint. And the pupils from St. David's in Mould, they take pupils from all over. And this is the annoying part, and that's all I've got to say, Chair. I'll be getting annoyed, and I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cunningham. But I think we all need to remember now that the consultation is open, and I think, as Vicky said, it would be inappropriate for us to make a comment in relation to it because it's an unbiased consultation at this moment for all stakeholders to express their views and opinions. Okay. Anything else on correspondence, Vicky or Kim?
No, Chair, that's all.
Oh, diolch yn fawr. So it's only thing left then is to note the future meetings, which will be on the Thursday 20th of November, 4th of February and 3rd of June next year. We haven't got start times agreed yet, have we?
They should be, Chair, I think, on the council's committee schedule. I think they're still at 4 o'clock.
Oh, sorry, it does say on the agenda.
Okay.
Meetings will be held at 4 o'clock. I went straight to the dates.
That's fine. Thank you. 4 o'clock. And sorry, Chair, can I just for the minutes and for forward work programme, that I'll liaise with Vicky in the agenda setting to perhaps have seeing that Trevor's kindly offered to have, just a short presentation on the work of the Humanist Society. It ties in with what schools are having some further background information. So thank you for the offer, Trevor, and I'll schedule it in the forward work programme.
I certainly support that, Vicky.
Yes, can beat me to it as always. That'd be great if Trevor's happy to do that. Trevor and I met before this meeting, and that was something we talked about as well. So I think Trevor, you'd be comfortable to do that. And I think also we probably for the forward work programme, Lynn, an update if that's okay on the new specification and the work around that. I think would be really helpful. Perhaps give members a feel of what's new, what an NEA process is like. I think would be helpful to members if that's okay. Lynn, if you've got time.
Yeah, more than happy to do that. It will be November, will be in the thick of it. So yeah, I might be grayer, but I'll be here.
Thank you, Lynn, as always.
Thank you, Lynn. So I'm bringing Councillor Cunningham again and then bring in Trevor.
Actually, Chair, it's a message for Catherine. If she could contact me after this meeting via phone, 0135 or whatever, she can get my phone. I think they've got my number in school, but it's to do with something I would like to discuss with her. Thank you.
Okay, and Trevor?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'd be very happy to prepare something, and I will liaise with Vicky as to the content and format.
Diolch yn fawr. We'll all look forward to that, I'm sure. So in the absence of anything else, I hereby close the meeting, and diolch yn fawr I chi gyd am bod yma heddiw. Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you. No.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you.